Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this session. Well, when we talked about artificial intelligence some years ago, the conversation was mostly dominated by promise, right? The typical words that we were used to hear all the time were things like transformation, disruption, potential impact, and so on and so forth. However, these recent years, the tone of the conversation has changed quite a lot, and nowadays the conversation is more about how artificial intelligence is embedded inside our operations, and no longer how it's going to transform, but we are more focused on reality, right? So this conversation today is going to be focused on this aspect of the adoption, and we are going to discuss about this shift from promise to practice, right? So we are not longer interested in pilots, in experimentation laboratories, and so on and so forth. We are more now interested in something more operational, right? And how artificial intelligence has changed our processes in reality, right? Not in future expectations. So we structured the conversation in three parts. First part is artificial intelligence in R&D. The second is artificial intelligence in operations. And finally, of course, talent and how talent is going to be upskilled to deal with this new era. So beyond use cases, we are especially interested in something more demanding, which is measurable impact, right? So we have 5 distinguished guests today that I will introduce you during the conversation. 4 of them coming from 4 big pharmas, and 1 coming from 1 international law firm, Cuatrecasas. So we thought, any further ado, let's start the conversation. First, my first question is, where has artificial intelligence delivered the highest return on investment so far across R&D, manufacturing, or post-approval operations? So, Francesco, do you want to answer this question?
Yes, thank you. I think there are 2 areas where we have a short-term return of investment that is pretty clear. The first one is the clinical development area, and the second one is manufacturing. Here, the reason is that we can really perform measurement and be sure that we can really understand the realization of value over time. In clinical development, of course, I'm talking about clinical trial optimization, patient selection optimization, all the entire trial cycle, time reduction, and quality of the protocol of the trial. So those are all activities that can be measured in terms of time, in terms of precision, in terms of reduction of the amendment of the protocols. And this is an area where we could measure good return of investment. The second one is manufacturing. Manufacturing, of course, some specific areas like shop floor agent to identify upfront reduced quality issues, or even the yield optimization to really reduce the wasting in the manufacturing process and so on. Those are also very, very measurable. And but the importance that I see in the return is to build those at scale. In manufacturing, we launched, for example, in Massachusetts, in Flemington, the first smart end-to-end factory, where AI is really part of not only those isolated processes, but the full manufacturing chain with controls and optimization on the full manufacturing cycle. So I think this is very important. Drug discovery. Drug discovery is an investment in terms of ROI. So I think this is the longer-term competitive advantage. So the return of investment will be seen later, but it's very important. I think a major investment in drug discovery is where AI is bringing back the bigger potential, right? You see in the mRNA sequencing generation and so on. Our mRNA COE is using heavily AI, and the results are pretty promising. We also build an AI tool that is like a ChatGPT for mRNA, where we are using the amino acid sequence to generate a new sequence and building a kind of GPT language that was patented then and now open to everybody, the Conde. So I think this is a very interesting area. Also, drug discovery, I believe on protein design and so on. This is also an area very promising. And we did in Sanofi, for example, a few key partnerships with Hawkins and with OpenAI to use GenAI capabilities to generate new protein design. So I think this is also a very important part. Last but not least, I would say, also because we are in Catalonia, is quantum computing. It's not yet ROI driver, but I believe in 10 years probably can become very important for chemistry, complex chemistry interaction, or very complex models and protein design. It's too early. It's still experimental, but I think this is an area that also will rise in the future.
Great, that's amazing. So my second question is, what enabled you to move from pilots to scaled development? And more specifically, I'm interested about bottlenecks, right? So Omar, do you have any thought about this?
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be with all of you. I mean, they are the ones who know about AI. I am the one who talks about AI. But let me see if I add value as well. So in the firm, we have been doing AI since 2014. We started with IBM Watson, and then traditional machine learning. We actually train models. We had a bunch of students coming to the office and labeling data. This clause is this clause is that, and then feeding back to the machine. And the results were horrendous. They were really bad. So it was completely useless for what we need in terms of accuracy. We had like 80% accuracy. That was pretty bad for a lawyer. And then GenAI comes along, right? November 30, 2022, a Wednesday. And then our head explodes, right? And then we start working with this. We are the first law firm in Europe to have access to Harvey, the AI for legal, if you like. And we have been implementing that at really hard pace, if you like. We have a 92% weekly engagement. We have 400 lawyers who ask the machine more than 30 times a week. So basically, we live in the machine now. So I don't know if that's good or bad, but that's what we do. So one of the things that we use it a lot, right? Like millions of prompts a year, literally millions of prompts. Harvey is not very happy with us because we consume all the tokens probably, so we're not a good client, I guess. But one of the things that really, we need to think very hard about this is how to use it to really make us better, right? So I'm very worried about the offloading of cognitive effort, basically asking the machine to think for us, right? Solve this problem for me. What do you think of this clause? Give me the solution, right? We know we have plenty of papers on this. If we do this, and I will not mention the papers, but later if you like, we know that by doing this, we are not becoming smarter. We are quicker, but we're not becoming wiser, right? So how do you implement that with junior associates, with senior associates, with partners? Right? How do you work with AI in a really intelligent way, right? So those are, we piloted, we extracted a lot of value, we implement, we deliver better service to our clients, probably also faster. I don't know about that, but the truth is that is not the challenge. The challenge is how do we continue making our teams better and learning over time instead of simply being somebody who copy and paste out of the machine, right? So that's the real issue for us.
And Susana, what about J&J? Do you have any other thoughts about this?
Yeah, well, at J&J we have started using AI like close to 10 years ago. And I'm going to share here my experience here in drug discovery, but in the drug design, in basic research. We have incorporated all the tools that are available, right? The co-folding and all these protein structures resolution. I mean, like that has been already for quite some time in J&J. But also, we have a mindset that we don't go into the lab without even knowing what the molecule is going to look like. So we have this predicted first approach. The first models, actually, that we incorporated were more based on like the simplest ones. Like this was quite some years ago, like physical properties, kind of like we call it felicity and that type of thing. And at the time, we did invest a lot in generating that data. So every single molecule that it was produced at J&J, we did test that molecule to generate the data. Now it's very nice to see that now we have very nice predictive models for those properties, so we don't need to measure or test those molecules or any molecule anymore. So we just test only 10% of the molecules, let's say, in those assays. There are other models that, like the pharmacokinetic models or the pharmacokinetic properties that are much more complicated to predict. However, J&J had a lot of data, right? I mean, like it's a company that is like, it's a quite old company and has a lot of in vivo pharmacokinetic data. So it was somehow difficult really to get those data because there was buried, let's say, in PDFs. So the company and management invest a lot on generating really high quality data sets. And now we have very good models to predict pharmacokinetic properties. Now we are moving into generative AI, right? I mean, like, and that's the future, the present, you know, depends on what you want to call it. Now that the machines start to design the molecules, now we need to have good tools and good synthetic awareness predictive models that tell us that those molecules, you cannot even draw them, but you can make them, right? So, and now we're investing a lot in models, and this is really today one of the biggest bottlenecks, to have good models to predict how to make those molecules. Mm-hmm. Still, I think the main bottleneck still today is the biology. So diseases are complicated, the proteins are complicated, the mechanisms of the proteins are complicated, and still the models are not as good, let's say, to have robustness. But we will get there.
Great. And Marta, what about AstraZeneca?
So I think, I mean, we have been using, like most of the pharma companies, AI for a really long time. What has changed now with all the new hype in technologies like generative AI, it's about how to really keep to focus on what brings value, right? So we're in a moment where a lot of AI tools are popping up. Everybody's using it at the private level. And then we really need to focus on where we need to put our attention so that we can really get the value and actually we get the results we want. So I will say for us, the two key pieces has been on first part is the data that we had since now with the traditional AI, a lot of work with the data, with making our data really govern, make the data really high quality. But now, with the whole Gen AI, what we are seeing is that it's even more important to really get the results, that this data is easily accessible across the company. And this is an effort that is making really a huge effort in all the areas so that they are able to have this data available, because if not, with all the AI tools we have, we cannot really do some more advancement than we did before. The second part, it's more about the commitment from our leadership team and from our sponsors, right? I mean, one of the things that was preventing us for going for pilots to something in production was that doing a pilot is very easy. Everybody can take some little data and get some tool and try to get some kind of POC in different areas. But one of the things that we have seen is that if we don't standardize the way we work in AI across the whole company, we are not going to achieve the value we are looking for. Things stay in POC or pilots. And this is not our goal, right? Our goal is to be able to scale it across the company. So this leadership commitment to AI and the way it should change the way we work, because this is the difference. We are going to change completely our day-to-day work. makes really important to create these foundations, these AI foundations that we use across the company, so that no matter in which area we are, manufacturing, discovery, we have some kind of standard tools that are able to leverage the data that had also been standardized, and then we can really create the synergies across the whole chain because we are all able to consume and use similar tools. Of course, people in research use it in a different way that we may use it, but this is something that is changing really the culture of the company of how we need to approach. We cannot be anymore in silos. We cannot be anymore saying, I will do it in this way because I'm here, but rather saying, no, there is a way to work with AI, and we all need to put our efforts in helping the organization to be able to adopt it, and then also trying to bring technologies people, scientists, people working on manufacturing together to say what is really the way we want to work so that we can really combine the information that we have, that it can be an asset for different areas.
Okay, so let's move now to the negative part of artificial intelligence, because we can spend, if you wish, all the afternoon talking about the positive aspects of artificial intelligence, but we have to be honest, and there are some other negative aspects that we should deal with. So, Pedro, where are those points where artificial intelligence is still not delivering the expected value that we would like to?
No, thank you, Nacho. I think there is not really a negative thing here. Let me start with the opposite. Okay. Is there anything that we are exceeding expectations with this technology, especially with generative AI? And I put here the point on the people. We realize that this technology is affecting all the value chain and all the employees. For example, last year, we trained 80,000 people on using this technology. And I would like to say that here we have something that is a silent revolution. There are so many people using a small process, but changing the way of working. So I would say here that this technology is changing the way of working in a very short period of time. Obviously, here is not really the big opportunity, whereas the expectation is focusing on value. And the value is on redesigning completely the process. And this is really a big change. So this is not going to happen tomorrow, but we really believe on agentics. Agentics are going to change and to transform the way we are working. And we are not there. So, but this is not bad. This is a journey. And obviously, as my colleague said, the future is on R&D. In Roche, we have implemented what we call the lab in the loop. So we are still doing the same process. This is not changing, but we are seeing how this technology can help us to iterate with multiple ways to really find new molecules. So answering your question, I think the big opportunity that is not meeting the expectation in this moment is related with discovery, but where in this journey.
Okay. Let's move now to the second block of this conversation, which is internal transformation, right? We want to discuss about operating model, governance, the AI stack, and so on and so forth. So my first question is, as artificial intelligence has scaled internally, what has changed most in your organization? The operational model, the governance, the decision-making. So, Francesco, can you tell us your thoughts, please?
Yes, I think it's a very interesting question because you need to change many things at the same time, but one is very important. So you need to have a clear commitment from the leadership, and this is what you were also saying, and really have a vision where you want to go with AI. In Sanofi, for example, we have a company vision to be the first biopharma driven totally by AI at scale. So, and this gives then top-down a series of messages and action that all the different departments had to adapt to this vision to make it practical strategy and tactics how to get there. And what it means in few words is how we can all work with a single objective that is half the time from discovery to therapeutics, right? So this is how we can use AI to get there. And you need to put in place a strong governance And don't forget that AI, the food of AI is data, right? So everything starts from data foundation. So bringing really a foundation of AI-ready data in the company that is changing from the old school paradigm where system of records, we were extracting data for specific use cases or specific pilots, but really having an industrialized scaled approach where you link data to the processes, you get business direct ownership of this data, because they own the process, so they should own also the data, the quality of the data, and how you can trust this data. And then you can compel really focusing on the right battle to choose in the AI, what are the priority and the focus that you need to get. To do that also, you need also investment and commitment on technology, right? Because you cannot have R&D, M&S, corporate function working with different technologies, single framework and architecture by department. So the big investment that we did is build what we call an AI foundry framework with standardized components, services, self-service, AI, Gen AI, and agentic AI platform that can be reused across all the different departments and the data products, because we are moving also from project-based project approach to data products and data and AI products approach. This is very important because at the end, those standardized services, you can link it to governance. So AI need to be trustable if you want to industrialize and scale. So we build also a responsible AI framework that is directly linked to those components, technology components. So and this is related also to talent at the end in the transformation, because AI skills and people that are high technical skilled, they need to start to get risk mindset and a regulatory mindset, because what we want is generate trust, right? It's not anymore experimentation. What we want is to move at scale in industrialization point. So these are the most transformative area. And then AI for everybody, for all the employees. We have a platform that we build, Play, that the idea is to tackle every decision making process in the company, where every employee can get agentic information and suggestion to make their risk-based decision using the augmentation of AI in their area of expertise and responsibility.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Omar, what about in Cuatrecasas?
Yes. So this technology, Gen AI, is weird for us. And let me explain that. I mean, if you understand, as probably if you agree with me that Gen AI in particular, but traditional AI as well, those are predictive models, predictive analytics at the end of the day, right? So what is the most probable token one after the other? That's what they do, the machines. Of course, they don't reason, they don't think, they don't know anything. It's not a database. They will answer, what is the capital of France? And they will say Paris, not because the machine actually knows it's Paris, but simply because 99% of people say that, right? But and that is very different from actually knowing it's Paris. Because knowing that it's Paris is a certainty, is a source of truth. Now, what the machine does is not, it has nothing to do with that, right? It calculates a probability, and it happens to be the same, but it doesn't need to be, right? So if you are actually looking for molecules, and we were discussing this before, right? This machine is fantastic, right? AlphaFold, right? It's fantastic, right? It will help speed up, and probably we're going to talk about this, right? Speed up research, because it will give you, indeed, the most probable molecule, one after the other, if you like, right? So that's a fantastic kind of job. Now, bring that to what I do, right? You do not come to professional services, lawyers in this case, or for that matter, any other, to tell you what is the most probable outcome, the most probable token, one after the other. I think you would agree on this. Because if you come with a complex issue, and all I have to say is the most probable token, one after the other, well, that's probably not the best solution for you. Because you are not going to pay my rates to tell you that the sky is blue. Because my sky is never blue. I wish, but it's never blue. It's anything but blue, right? So that's a weird machine, right? Because immediately you think, because you say something that makes sense, actually is useful. And most of the times, it is not that useful if you don't know how to ask the machine, and you understand that the machine will bring you exactly here in the data, and that is probably not what a lawyer wants. The lawyer wants anything but that, right? So it's very weird. It seems to make sense, and yet you need to put a lot of time and effort to actually understand the machine, to actually extract value. And that is the fixation that we have. How to ask the machine, how to bring the machine out of the statistical distribution to the place where actually brings value to you guys, and hopefully I will still have my job in 5 years. You understand? So it is a weird machine mixing pure data, pure analytic, predictive analytics, and my kind of work. Now, if you ask me, as a client, I would not entertain any lawyer not using Gen AI. I would not like that. That doesn't make sense anymore. Now, you need to know how to use it and show it to me, right? So that's the fixation that we have, understanding the technology.
Okay. Well, I remember when we were preparing this session, I remember you told me, I don't want to talk about the AI Act. And I have to say that you have been consistent and you have not talked about the AI Act. So, Susana, and what about your company, which is the biggest transformation?
I mean, the AI has transformed completely the way we work. In drug discovery, when we try to identify a molecule for a clinical study, we follow, and this is common for every company, we follow a classical iterative cycle that is the design, make, test, analyze, and depending on the data, you already redesign, let's say, until you find the right molecule. Once we have now the predictive models, we have actually incorporated a new step, that is the decide step. So we design, but decide which molecules to make based on the prediction of the properties of that molecule. And that has changed a lot, right, the way we work. We have also standardized, as Marta was saying, a lot of processes. So we have created all these workflows, and we do the same thing in the different sites in the different parts of the world at J&J. And we have even software where you let's say that you draw the molecule, and then you can automatically predict all the properties of the molecule. It could be Phys-Chem, could be pharmacokinetic, could be tox. So then you have a good vision of what that molecules look like. If you have enough data, for example, with the protein, how the molecule interacts with the protein, the potency, the affinity, whatever it is, we can even have models to predict that affinity. So with all that pieces, we can create formulas, let's say, and even predict what the human dose of that molecule that you're just drawing there, playing around, let's say, and then you can have a good picture of what that molecule will look like in clinic. So that has completely changed the way that we work, right? I mean, like, if we compare with a few years ago. And this is actually regulated by governments, because depending on the models, how you use them, we need to have an AI strategy and AI plans, or like which models are you going to use? How are you going to use those models? It's going to be regression, classification, different types of ways that you can use those models. So you need to have approval from in governance meetings of what your strategy in the terms of AI is in your project. And also in the way that we work together, like we can even define what the roles and responsibilities for each team member. Like we have a chemist, for example, that is a project leader. We have the data scientist that is producing the models. We have defined the roles and responsibilities for each of them, like who is going to define the strategy, who is going to look at the performance of the models over time. And that's really important because another way actually that I think, and that's what Omar was referring to, and I think it's critical for us, because before we design molecules to identify the clinical candidate. We also now make molecules to refine the model. And that is a completely different mindset, right? We need to prepare molecules to reduce uncertainty of the models and to have better models that help us to identify the right molecule. So that's, to me, one of the biggest changes also.
Okay, let's move to the next question in this block, which is about the AI stack, right? How does your AI stack looks like? Are you using mostly open source models, or are you using I don't know, on-premise stuff, or you use the cloud or commercial systems? So let's just start with Marta in AstraZeneca. Which is your stack?
In our case, I mean, we see the need of having kind of a really balanced AI stack, that it's a mix of things that we can buy commercially, but also a lot of built-in tools that we create, right? Because we have this idea of reusability, creating assets. So we are going really on a way that we are trying to combine the best of both worlds, right? Not to depend only on commercial, but not only being able to, create all our built-in solution. So on the one hand, we have things like, for example, we created a multi-LLM platform for the whole company to use. So we have like 90,000 users of this platform for them to really try the art of the possible. We build this, but actually behind the scenes, we have open source. We have as well a lot of commercial tools available, right? And the idea was that we have, we want the adoption to be part of every AstraZeneca employee, not only for the ones who can develop or are really advanced ones, and we needed to find a way to create a platform that allowed the people to try and see for what they can be used, right? And this is the way that we are trying to bring some of this new technology across the whole company. But at the same time, we also have some very specific needs, and then we go really on commercial solutions that may have a very specific solution that will help us to overcome one of our challenges. So we try to balance between this kind of scenarios. But what is important for us is to understand really how many user personas exist in AstraZeneca that need AI, right? So understand really the type of groups. Like for me, I always say I'm trying to cluster our employees in a way to understand what actually they are needing, right? And this is why we have like tools in our AI stack that are really focused what we call no-code or low-code, that sometimes are mainly commercial, and where we let them really explore in an easy way, in a visual way, while at the same time we are having really advanced users that are creating our new agentic systems, and they are really need this more deep Kubernetes style that actually we built our own platform to try to allow them get maximum of flexibility. So we are trying to live with these kind of different worlds at the same time, which is really challenging, especially because we are getting more and more requests regarding getting the latest tool that people are using on their private life. So we are really working very hard to try to see how we onboard new AI stack in our company, trying to keep the balance. And what we have seen that is really important is that to have since moment zero cybersecurity with us, having as well data protection, the data enterprise offices with us, so that we can really try to see if it's going to be easily integrated across the enterprise, because we don't want people just to be doing POCs and pilots, right? We want them to really be able to scale it after. So I will say that it's right now a difficult moment because we have a lot of requests and a lot of let's say, not yet enterprise-ready solutions that are sometimes coming either from big vendors. So we are trying to manage this kind of building house plus commercial tools while trying to keep a very strong process in order to onboard new tools that can only come to us if they are really going to be able to scale, and we will not stay as a kind of a POC environment or a playground that will not bring value, right? So it's a pretty challenging moment right now from the IT perspective.
Okay, and what about Roche, Pedro?
I can link this with our AI strategy. We have 3 pillars. I mentioned before. The first one we call the everyday AI tools, that are the tools for all employees. As AstraZeneca, all of these are commercial tools that we can offer to all the employees very quickly. We have the second pillar is Reshape, that is about redesigning process. And here what we learned is that, this technology is moving very fast. You don't know which technology you use in a moment. So here what we decided is to develop an agnostic platform. So we can decide it depending on the need, what is the best technology that we can use in a moment for a specific purpose. Our third pillar is about mass disruption. It's about developing new molecules. I think this is also about a conversation that we had previously about the ecosystems in the previous conference I attended here. And here is about collaboration. We did an agreement with NVIDIA, for example, and you need to really open your mind. It's about collaboration. You cannot do it alone. The company is really focused on this kind of partnership.
Great. Let's move to the third and final block. We don't have much time, so we'll appreciate short answers, please, so everyone can talk. The first is about the hardest cultural shift, right? Because artificial intelligence is introducing a new paradigm in our way of working. So which is the hardest cultural shift that you have to face in your organizations? Susana, please, can you tell us?
It's interesting because when we started to apply the predictive models, some of the scientists were skeptical, right? Which is kind of like, I don't know, like difficult to believe. Some others were really early adopters, but in order to change the culture and the mentality of the scientists, what we did is create a global forum, a global group, actually, which mission was really to build trust among, the scientists and also to demonstrate value of the predictive models. And at the end, the vision there was like, we need to have the AI in the DNA of every single scientist. So with that vision in place, what we did is to build trust. We invest, and we are investing a lot in training the scientists so they can really know what the models are, critique the models, and even one thing that was very, very important is to teach this, to speak the same language between the chemists and the data scientists, to really, have good communication there. Sometimes a word like hallucination may mean different things for different people. Also, in all, for example, in town halls or in regular updates, we show case study examples of how the predictive models have really add value with tangible benefits, right? With things that we can really measure. So it's really nice to see now how we have evolved from, let's say, the skepticism to a collaboration, right? Really to use the AI as an augmented tool and not like, let's say, a rejection that at the beginning people have.
Okay, and Francesco, what about new roles or new skills that you think they are going to be critical for the following years?
I think this is a very critical area because if you want to succeed, you really need to have the right skills and capabilities. That is not necessarily related to who you need to hire, what is the new role, but also related to the upskilling and capabilities that you have in the company to upskill to this new world. I think in the technical area, the most complex and challenging one is to have MLOps expert that do have strong DevOps expertise. So this is one area that is pretty difficult to find, and this is a fundamental if you want to scale and industrialize. It's not just about data science. Data science is obvious. Every company was looking for data scientists in the last 5 years, but this is not the problem anymore. The problem now is how you scale up, how you industrialize. So MLOps and DevOps is a very critical role. On the other side, regulation, EU Act, Biotech Act, everything is coming, especially in Europe, but we will be leading regulation across the world, right? If you want really to bring trust in AI to regulators, to patients at the end. And one important aspect is not to really generate roles that are specifically expert in this area, but do have the technical, high-skilled person in MLOps, engineering, and so on, that do have the skills and capability embedded, because by design, AI should be responsible, driven, with the right risk assessment, legal, privacy, should be really embedded by design in the AI product that we build. So those skills need really to be part also of the technical people that work on those products. And last but not least, we need to move from a project mindset to a product mindset. So product owner, data and AI product owner, is a key role that need to be part of the organization.
Okay, great. So last question is update how you train your people to be sure that your people is updated in this so fast world, right? Because every week there are new things and new issues coming on. So, Royce, do you have any initiative to train people?
Yes, I think we consider ourselves as a learning organization. How we do it, and not just with the technology in general, no, in this world that is changing all the time. We have everything has 3 pillars in Roche. I don't know why, but 3 pillars. So the first, we call the 3E model. So the first E is about education, as Susana said. So we train, as I said before, 80,000 people. We have more than 1,000 champions, AI champions, that are in charge of training internally all the people. This is what we say. This is 15% of the change. We have the second E is about experimentation. So what we promote across the organization, that everybody test the technology, try the technology, experiment. And this is 70% of the learning. And the third one is exchange. So we need to share. We create different communities, as Susana said, to exchange, to experiment. So this cycle is what we use to discontinuous learning across the whole organization.
Okay, and what about AstraZeneca, Marta? Do you have any other initiative?
Yeah, so in our case, we had an enterprise initiative that got a lot of success because we tried to do a learning for all the employees, like kind of using gamification. So we started to create really a curriculum from the really basic stuff, from what it is AI, governance, responsible AI, to really more and more complicated. And we created like levels like bronze, silver, gold, diamond, platinum. And then what we saw is that people started really to get in the course of, getting the certification, trying to post about what they were, doing on this certification. And it was a combination of really kind of videos done by people in the company that were working with AI, also some basic stuff about learning about AI, but also they had even to do things like they had to do a little project about AI and do some kind of postcards or something. So we achieved a lot of curiosity and a lot of engagement on trying things about AI, and I think it was because we tried to shift from the traditional kind of explanation to really bring kind of more real examples from the day-to-day and giving some of the people that were using AI. But also one of the things that we saw that is coming a lot, and this is in the same direction, is about communities. We start getting really growing communities of different areas of expertise in AI, like from natural language processing for more predictive, from different areas. And actually this has created a lot of traction. And for example, in the Global Hub in Barcelona, we have one community that focuses on AI and ML. And there, what we see is like we are in a unique position because in this community we have technology people, we have people working on oncology, biopharma, manufacturing. Everybody is bringing their use cases and how they are applying AI, and it's really rich because we get really to get this cross-collaboration and making understand, they had a success on this completely in manufacturing, but actually I could also reuse it for something I'm doing in oncology, right? So we are really seeing that we kind of created this curiosity or this really eager to try things. And I think I was not expecting this to be such a success. But it really shows us that if you make AI something for the people to play with, giving the tools, giving the standardization tools and letting them have a little playground, you can really get a lot of really great results, more than you could have expected, right? So I would say that our main focus was to have a standardized this kind of training in a gamification way, letting then the people create their communities and create this spirit that actually AI is kind of fun and it can help me. So there is not anymore this feeling of, okay, AI is going to replace me. It's the opposite. They want to play with it. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and finally, Omar, which are your thoughts about this?
Yeah, so in the firm, we like to think about this in 3 phases, if you like, right? So the first phase is we need to master the technology. So full deployment, 2,000 employees, all of them access to Harvey and similar technologies, all of them commercial. We do not have the money to train models, but it wouldn't matter. That's not the equation we're trying to optimize anyway. It's cognitive work. It's not really training a machine specifically for certain type of data, right? So first of all, mastering the technology, let people do as they like, and train them, of course, right? I give a lot of the training internally on this, right? So the second phase is, I think we are there. Not to be, but I think we are there already. So second phase is automation to the extent that is possible. So that is workflows, playbooks, things that actually the machine, some sort of a slight agentic world already, right? I mean, I don't know if agents is the right word. We use agents for everything, and nobody understands what that is. But for our work, it's more times of workflows, playbooks, things that we actually control rather than having the AI coming up with whatever, right? We will get there eventually, but not yet, right? So that is the second phase where we are, and we kind of gamify that as well internally, right? Then the third phase, we are entering the third phase slowly, is redefining the issue. So what does it mean to compete with law firms backed by venture capital, by Sequoia? What does it mean? Guys, law firms with actual no employees and just AI agents, if you like, right? What does it mean how do you add value to the client in that new world, in that perspective? And for that, we find being close to the clients is the only thing that guides us through that. But clearly, we're already getting there and thinking really hard, how do we go to the final frontier, if you like? Yeah.
Okay, so time is over. Thank you very much for all your insights. I think that the subtitle of this session was How Technology is Transforming Pharma. But I think that we just checked that technology has already transformed pharma, right? And I think that all of us, we learned a lot today from you. And you gave us plenty of insights on how big pharma and big international companies have been transformed. So thank you very much, and see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Muchas gracias. Thank you.